It's button. The numbers are ticking. Ladies and gentlemen, look at the big guest that I've got here, looking absolutely sharp. Welcome to the Ready Baaaanng, the Aussie Arm Wrestler podcast. I'm your host, the Aussie Arm Wrestler, and as always, I hold the prestigious 2019 Melbourne Amateur Cup, third place, 80 to 95 kilos. This is something all pullers want to get their hand on, but look what I have here. What an amazing guest. This guy is a worldwide athlete. You see him on ESPN in WAL. He was so close to being a UAL world champion. He is in the sport for 15 plus years. He is owner, CEO and badass of Natfit. He's a Star Wars enthusiast. I call him Baby Yoda or the Millennium Falcon. You know him as the natural Jamie Sheldon. Jamie, welcome to the show.
That was an awesome intro. I appreciate that. Thank you. And even mentioned Star Wars. I love it.
Yes.
Love it. Honored to be on your show, man.
Thank you so much. And as always, doesn't matter what time, I'm on the Heinekens today. I usually have an Aussie beer, but I'm on the Heinekens, and I see you've got yourself a beer there, which is something the Aussie Arm Wrestler always loves. So cheers to you, my man.
Cheers to you, and I love Heineken. I probably should have got that one.
Well. That's all right. It'd just be awkward. It's like if we both went out for dinner and ordered the same meal.
Or we're connected on some way, you know? You never know, man. I mean, I like your style. You're a good dude.
All right, on the count of three, what colour lightsaber are you? Let's see how connected we are. Ready? 1, 2, 3, red.
Whoa.
There it is. There it is. That's it. I could end the show just on that, right, guys? That's great. Jamie's brilliant. We're connected. No. What's been happening, my man? How you been?
Busy. Obviously, I got the 3 little girls here and running the business and just trying to stay. Well, the business hasn't really been too affected by COVID, but we've had a few things that have affected the business as far as distribution slowdowns and delays. But other than that, which costs money, you know, other than that, we're still okay, man. I mean, I'm healthy. The kids are healthy. Wife's healthy. And trying to arm wrestle when I can, you know.
Yeah, that's been the hard thing. But speaking of trying to arm wrestle, you just took a little trip to Utah lately. You came, you saw, and conquered. Tell us about Utah last weekend. Yeah,
you know, I've been to Utah twice to pull. I've been to the John Brzenk Cup once before when I pulled Dallas Langston. A couple years back, Dallas Langston was on the rise. Well, he's still on the rise. I mean, the guy's doing amazing. And we're friends, and he challenged me to a match and said, hey, come up to Utah, we'll take care of you. I was like, okay. So we went up there, and he actually beat me 3-1. And that was kind of like the start of his, you know, putting himself on the map. So I'm very proud of him. And ever since then, you know, he put the 20 pounds back on. He's been just killing people at 200 pounds and doing very well. So I like Utah. It was fun. I had a great time at Bob's Bar, so I decided to go back. But I didn't want to cut weight, so I went in there at the 198 class, weighed in at 197.2, and just felt phenomenally strong, cleaned house, and
yeah, for those that don't know, Jamie's cut weight to 154, usually pulls at the 176. So to be sitting around the 200 mark, it's a big difference. Like 50 pounds, guys, you got to understand. So you just couldn't be bothered cutting weight? Do you normally sit at 200 pounds and cut for comps and super matches, or are you looking for different challenges going up a weight class?
I could probably answer that a few different ways. Believe it or not, in 2008, I weighed in at 139 for the 143-pound class at Nationals, and I felt like death. I looked terrible. I mean, I don't look great now, but I look terrible. Fully clothed, I think, too, 139. I overshot it. But I used to pull at 154 when I was younger, in my 20s. But my body prefers now to sit between the 180s, 190s. If I get a little lazy on the diet, 190 to 200. I've seen 200 twice in my life, and I'll probably hit it again after Thanksgiving. But my competitive weight class is about 176, maybe 185, depending on who's there. 165 to 185. So I can pretty much cut, gain whatever I need to, just changing my diet. Give me a couple months and I'll make whatever weight class I need to. But I prefer to be a little fat and happy. And when I'm 190 plus, I don't have any injuries. Like after that tournament, I felt great. My elbows are fine. Everything's great. You know?
Yeah.
So,
I wouldn't want to be sitting at 139, mate. If they had the air conditioning on, you'd probably blow off the table. That's too light.
I took third. I took third place too. Like I didn't even win. Like what's the point of cutting weight? You know, it's. Well, when I met my wife, I was competing with the UAL for 150 pounds, and so I've gained 50 pounds in 5 years in my marriage. Which,
let's just say that's because you're happy. Let's just leave it.
Yeah. He likes me a little heavier too. So, and I like it. You know, my body wants to be carrying muscle. Doesn't want to be, trying to hang these children in the 120 pound class. So.
Guys, if you get a chance, go check out some of Jamie's UAL matches. Are absolute. They're great. I love watching them. I've called a couple myself. Go check out Jamie on UAL. So, were there how many were there in the 198 class at Utah?
There's probably about a dozen or just under that. When you keep winning, you don't have to pull as much, but there were a few people there that I was worried about.
Show off.
But going over there, knowing that Craig Toulier was going to be there, right? He didn't arm wrestle right-handed. He arm wrestled left-handed because he's coming back from an injury. But he didn't make that decision till that morning. We're all sitting at breakfast, and he was having some issues with his right. But I really wanted to arm wrestle him just to feel that legendary hit, strength, everything about Craig. And he's a great guy. But he didn't end up arm wrestling. So obviously, if he would have jumped in that class, that probably would have been his class to win because he did just smoke everybody in the left hand. Corey Miller, Devin Bear, Roman Gromov were all in the 176s, which if I would have cut, that would have been a crazy class to be in. But, luckily I didn't have to pull any of them. Corey pulled 176 and 242. Because he wanted to shot at Brent Rockers, and Brent was in the 242s, and Brent ended up winning the right-handed in 242s. But Corey gave him a run for his money. It was a pretty good match, and I'm sorry I didn't get on TV or the internet because it was crazy. Yeah,
I was doing a look even for some of yours. There was only a couple, and you just waltzed through a couple of guys. I was hoping to get a whole heap of footage before you jumped on the show to call some matches. Yeah. So if anyone out there has got some footage of Jamie kicking ass in Utah, hit one of us up because we'd be super keen for that. And going back to Corey, going from 170s to 240s, I love it when the little guys do that. I think it's very important for the sport when guys take those big challenges and compete. Like they don't even have to win, but you can just show that you don't have to be jacked up to compete with the big guys.
Right.
Now we'll go to WAL. Mm-hmm. As you know, you've competed a lot in WAL. You're with them. You've been fantastic with them over the last few years. There's one match that I don't know. Being a sports fan, I just want to get your intake on it, and it's 404. You took on an Aussie Arm Wrestler podcast alumni, Jeff Hale.
Oh, yeah.
You're up 2-0.
One was 404. I'm like, oh, yeah. Jeff, my buddy.
Yeah. You're up 2-0 and you shit the bed and lost 3-2. And so, just the mindset, because it's so easy to talk to the guys that always, that they're winning. It's easy to talk about their wins. Tell us about what was going on through your mind. During that, you're up 2-0, feeling good, you were looking good, you were finding holes. One win was through fouls and things like that, but you were finding holes in Jeff's game, which is hard to do, and then to unfortunately not get that get that super match win. What's your mind during it? Besides feeling garbage from losing, because you're a competitor, you're a natural competitor, what's the mindset afterwards?
Well, going into that match, I mean, you're arm wrestling Jeff Hale, he was coming back into, I think he had a small layover, taking some time off of arm wrestling. He just had his kid. I probably had 10 by then, so I was still involved. But I knew going into this, and not having arm wrestled Jeff in several years, but I arm wrestled him once before that at Nationals, and he completely just turned me into a hook and slammed me to the pad. So I had that in my head as I was training, and I figured, all right, well, I'm a bigger, in some areas, stronger guy, bigger guy. Let me try to stop that from happening as soon as possible, and I think I'll be fine. So that was kind of like my mindset, not taking into consideration that Jeff is the king of super matches, right? That first match, I hit perfectly as far as timing, but my direction was so far off that I hit more side instead of back. I should have came this way because he stopped me an inch from the pad, and we were there for, it felt like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
My arm looked phenomenal after because it was full of blood, and I couldn't move. So that second match, I mean, they had to stop it for fouls. He ended up fouling out, but I was blown at that point. So we ended up stopping, and I tri-stepped him to the pad, and I'm thinking, all right, that's not going to work again, and I can't come back this way. My hand is done. My arm's done. So I knew I was in trouble. And, he maintained his composure, and in true Jeff Hale fashion, he came back and he beat me those 3 times in a row. And all I could think about was, damn, I should have hit differently that first match. Maybe things could have been different, maybe not, but it wasn't that hard to swallow afterwards because he's a friend of mine, and I got so much respect for the guy that I just didn't want to lose 3-0. And I think that was a realistic. Now, I'm always confident knowing that I could beat these guys because I have beaten just about everybody in that class except Tony and a few Europeans. But so the confidence is always there. It's just you go home and we joke around about it afterwards. Like he got an extra $500 that day for match of the day. Or performance of the day, and I'm like, good, at least you made some extra money, and we're joking around,
But you can't have a match by yourself.
Exactly.
Come on, Jeffrey. Come on, mate. I watched all the Harry Potters for you, Jeff. Oh, throw a couple of bucks Jamie's way.
He supports my business, and, we're friends, and I support him, but I can't wait to crack him. I can't wait to have that rematch, So
then from there, didn't go your way, and then 504, you took on the legendary Alan Fisher. Now I know that you've pulled Alan Fisher before in the past, as well as some of the great legends, Cobra Rhodes, in that division. What's it like when they ring you up and you get to pull one of the world's best? First of all, what's that like?
Well, when I got the phone call about Alan, they said, hey, you want to arm wrestle Alan Fisher in Los Angeles? Yes. It's an hour from my house. And I get to arm wrestle Alan? Perfect. I had some success with Alan in recent years. I was up 2 wins on him out of the last 12 where he was kicking my butt. So the last 2 wins were mine, so I felt confident going into it that I can train specifically for Alan, and I think I can win this. But the funny thing was, a month and a half before that at Nationals, where I pulled 187, Jeff pulled 165, he and Alan had a war.
Yeah.
Alan was in a hook with him like twice on 2 separate occasions, and I'm like, oh crap, I got to pull this guy in 2 months. So my confidence was kind of like, I need to remember that this is still one of the greatest, if not the greatest, lightweight arm wrestler of all time. I still hold him in that regard. Him and Cobra.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, there was just so much riding on this match that I focused my entire, and I have some pretty nice hashtags to go along with my matches. Gone fishing, or like chicken or beef for so I can hype stuff up just like you can.
You need to, but was there a part of you that was just like Alan's super old, I've got him here? You powered through him. It was very rare to see someone power through Alan Fisher like that.
Right. Yeah, his hand is phenomenal. What I figured would happen would he probably take my hand, which he's done before every time, and I just tricep through him. I'd have to do that. But when I flopped his hand slightly, the first match, I even stopped and I think I looked over at Neil like, what the hell did I just do? And I kept going, and I'm like, okay, this is mine. And I felt completely confident at that point. But I didn't think that would happen. And yeah, he's older now, but he's still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, you can't untrain that. He'll be strong. He'll be beating blokes when he's 80, 85. So in a couple of years. No, I'm only joking, Alan. Only joking.
4 years before that, he won the WAL right-handed class. The first year, I think he won it, right? Or maybe Jeff won it. Alan won it the year after. And then Giannis. So Alan's always in the conversation,
You weren't worried that he was going to, eat your face off afterwards, getting a pin on you? He's so intense. Even, when you were pinning him, I was like, yeah, James in a bit of trouble here. I think he's just going to savage and bite your neck off. You got to shake
the table. You let him shake the table, do his thing, and then you walk up there, and you can't match his intensity, just like you can't match Jeff. You have to just let Jeff be Jeff and try not to get on his level. But I'll tell you the thing about Jeff is watch how he is with certain pullers. Yeah. He will talk shit. He will get in their face. He'll yell at them. He'll point in their face. But Jeff isn't going to do that to me because he's a friend of mine, right? So I think that kind of worked against him because he can't get fired up to get mad at me. Yeah. Whereas somebody else he might genuinely hate. The same thing with Adam Wilmot. Adam Wilmot's going to try to hate me all day long. It's never going to happen. He likes me. And he's going to call me and tell me he likes me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, speaking of that, you were booked this season to kick off the 600 series against the Angry Bird, Adam Wilmot. Now, was it annoying for you because when that match was announced, there was a bit of internet beef between Adam Wilmot and Tom Holland. So everyone was kind of hoping for Adam Wilmot, Angry Bird versus Tom Holland, and then you were just kind of thrown in there. Did it annoy you that no one was talking about Jamie Sheldon, or were you just happy that Adam was distracted having a bit of internet beef with Tom Holland?
I think more... I wasn't angry. I think, and I get it, because he's trying to create job security for himself, because whether or not he wins or loses with me, he probably will still have that match with Tom just because people want to see it.
Yeah.
Right? And they got a score to settle, which is a little more personal than my beef with Adam. There's no beef, but my match with Adam is different than Tom. They genuinely don't like each other, which I think is more exciting. Oh. But I think it's going to work against Adam because he was looking elsewhere when I'm going to crack his ass, and he knows it. and my style's so bad for him. I don't think he needs to bring it back and focus on me if that's going to happen, because Tom is a different beast. Two totally different styles, and he needs to kind of just. It's all right, it's good to have your sights set on other people, but you got to focus on what's in front of you first. And I've told him that. But he's a good dude. He's just trying to create job security, which he has now. He had a great showing against Jeff, and I think Adam will be in the league for years to come because he's on the rise as well.
Animated is exciting. He's happy to have beef on the internet. He's not worried about rustling feathers because he's the Angry Bird, throwing a crap pun there. But I think I would have been, if I was in your position, I think I'd be... a little bit annoyed that everyone was talking about this matchup that didn't have you in it. I think people forgot. I think there was a stage there where I can't remember who it was, but someone asked me, they're like, who's going to win out of Angry Bird and Tom Holland. And I was like, no, he's pulling Jamie Sheldon. Probably should sort that out first.
Right, yeah.
So then, 600 series happens. What's the score? You versus Adam. What's the score?
I'd like to think that I would go in there 3-0. It's the unknown, right? Because I've never arm wrestled the guy. We were in the same event a few years back. The Alan Fisher Invitational that Travis hosted in San Diego. I ended up taking second. I beat Alan that day. I think Adam went 2 and out.
Ooh,
so we never got the arm wrestle. Yeah, so I remember meeting up with him and Travis when they got in town, shook his hand, and we're like, all right, because I hadn't seen him since like one of the finals or regionals, and knowing we would probably arm wrestle each other, but it never happened. So when people were talking about this, it's the unknown, right? And people are going based off of what happened with Jeff. But it's like,
yeah,
he's got different tools than I do, so you can't really compare A, B, C. I think it has the potential to be one of the most exciting matches on the card.
Oh, absolutely.
Or it could go one way. I mean, you never know with these things, and that's what makes it exciting,
That lightweight division, unfortunately with arm wrestling, we love watching all the big guys. We all seem that exciting. But that lightweight division, yourself, Tom, Adam, Jeff, Giannis, Alan Fisher, Cobra Rhodes, I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And some of those guys, do yourselves a favour and just type in lightweight arm wrestling and you'll be entertained for hours. Watch the podcast first, subscribe, and then go buy something from Natfit. Then go watch lightweight arm wrestling. So he's called it. Jamie's called it 3-0. It's all over. Bad luck. Look at that, Adam. You've been plucked, mate. You've been plucked. But I will have Adam on the show at one day to recite this.
This will reignite a fire under his butt too. Me kind of running my mouth a little bit.
But it's just so polite. It's just so polite the way you run your mouth. Just give us something, Jamie. Give us something. Bang!
You know what? On my whiteboard over there in my gym, I had a picture of the Angry Bird up there for like 6 months.
Yeah.
I drew that knowing that I'd arm wrestle the guy, and I'm like changing it like every month because I'm getting bored, and I'm like, dude, is this match ever going to happen? But you know what? You are right. That lightweight division was going to be crazy this year. Like, I got a phone call from Cobra. Cobra said, hey, you beat the fish, now you got to beat the snake.
Ooh.
And he called me before I pulled with Alan, and he said, hey, I didn't even answer my phone because it was from a different area code, and I'm like, well, I don't know who this is. And all I got in the message was, hey, it's Snake Face. Let's talk about Fish Face. Because he wanted to kind of give me some insight, because Cobra's like a brother too.
Yeah.
But he acknowledges the fact that, some of us are on the rise, and he's, there, and he told me, hey, I got one more match left in me, and I want to have it be with you. And I'm like, I'd be honored to pull with Cobra because I've only pulled him once, and he beat me.
Yeah, that was in a single pull. I remember that. That was more like a finger holding, that match. I think you both needed to slip and go into straps.
Well, I wanted to, but he broke Giannis's thumb like 2 months before that.
Yes.
So I'm like, I don't want to slip and get my thumb broke. So I was scared to death. So I was like trying to slip slowly, and I'm like, nah, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
And he's just calm and cool, working me around the table, and I'm like, all right, I'm screwed today.
So then it's an interesting point you bring up. So as everyone knows, the 600 series was on, it was off, it was on, it was off, it was on, it was off, and then finally it was off. Now, the training for tournaments, a whole lot different than training for super matches. There's big money on it, which will help Natfit, which will help, I was speaking to Michael Todd in the last episode, and he's like calculating when he wins, this will pay certain amount of months' bills. So how does that deal with you mentally? You've prepared, you've trained, and because you're in the health and fitness industry, things are to a T. So then how does that mess with you mentally and physically, going from, all right, I've got Adam in March, I've got Adam in July, I've got Adam in August, I won't have Adam until next year?
It doesn't really affect too much. It's more irritating than anything, knowing that it's something out of your control. Because you're training, you're prepping. I like to sit at 185 when I'm training, knowing that I got to cut to 170. I think we were supposed to meet at 170. So by the time they canceled it, I was 176, almost there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well then, 2 weeks later, I'm back up to 185. But that was more the irritating part, was the weight cut management. Just knowing that I have to be at a certain weight to pull this guy, because I like to sit heavy if I'm not arm wrestling. I train heavier, stronger and all that. As far as the business goes, and Michael Todd's a different beast, because I've heard stories that their win bonus and their pay is significantly more, which I think in some of those guys' cases, it could be life-changing. Whereas, don't get me wrong, we're getting paid to arm wrestle, and it's phenomenal. But other than just the weight cut, I don't think it really affected me. It was just more irritating knowing that, okay, well, I'm going to go there in April. Okay, well, I'm going to go there in August. And what my dad, bless his heart, in August said, or for when it was in August, he said, hey, I'm going to pay for your first-class plane ticket to go to Chicago. That way I could relax a bit. And I'm like, oh, thank you, because I've never flown first class. And it got canceled. So I'm like, shit. So I don't know if I need to call my dad and say, hey, next year, do I still get to fly first class?
Yeah, put it in the bank. Yeah, that's your Christmas present. Absolutely. What a champion.
Yeah, and I don't want to fly first class and wear a mask and not be able to have a drink or two for free, So.
You're a first-class athlete. So then, all right, so you run through Adam. You get the win. You get the super match win over Cobra, in his, which I hope is in his last hurrah. Who do you have to beat to get that hammer shot? Who do you feel you have to knock off to then go, bang, I'm on. Hammer time.
I am, to be perfectly honest, I think I'm several steps away from any kind of an opportunity like that. But I would like an opportunity to pull Jeff again. I would like to train smarter for Tom Holland. I'm used, and I've said this before, actually, every time people talk about it, I'm usually the tall guy in the class, or at least pretty close to it, right? At 176, there's not too many guys that are way taller than me. But Tom just had that. The only way I can describe it is
a long streak of duck shit.
At getting you out of position. And even if you feel like you're moving into a position, he can keep going with that long arm. And took me right out of position and just, completely took me to school because he's on that different level. So at some point, I'd like to pull him again, but I think I'm a few matches away from that. But then again, on the flip side of that, you got him and Jeff that went together, and Jeff ended up winning. So styles make matches, and Neil's a genius. So, and based on who I heard was going to be in the class this year, it would have made it very exciting to reunite with some of these guys that I've pulled in the past that are badass.
Pulled in the past. Right, drop names. No, I know you're not allowed to drop names and things like that. That's
Well, just think that it'll be rematches with people I've had in the past.
This is good.
But I've got a little bit more. What's the word? I think the ball is in my court now with some of these guys.
Oh, Jamie Sheldon playing Jedi mind tricks on the Aussie arm wrestler.
But they're all great arm wrestlers, so I'm not going to take anything away from them. But yeah, I would love to pull Tom again at some point. Jeff first, because that's a little more personal because he's a really close friend of mine, and Tom is becoming a really close friend of mine too because now we're in business together.
Yes, we'll get to that a bit later. Tom's a great guy.
Yeah, and at some point I'd like to pull Luke Kinn again because first guy I ever met in arm wrestling, the first guy that ever talked to me, and first time we ever pulled, I beat him 2-1 because we were the only pros in a weight class with the UAL. But I had known him for like 6 years before that, and then ever since then, he's flash pinned me in the WAL, and he must have like 10 wins on me just in the last few years because it was a best of 3 every time we met up, and I'm like, shit, you're messing up my record. But, he's the man, so he's arguably one of the best lightweights of our division. Time period.
That's quite interesting. But I want to talk about an unknown tournament that most of Jamie Sheldon fans and arm wrestling fans might not know about. And this one hits me right in the feels. We're going back to 2016. It was at the Riverside Wicks Brewery. It was for a lovely lady named Lisa Reimer. Apologies if I pronounced her last name wrong.
Reimer,
Guys, what has happened, what I'm talking about is Jamie either collaborated with someone or helped out, and he did a fundraiser for this lovely lady named Lisa, who at the time was diagnosed with breast cancer and going through a very hard time. Now, if anyone knows the Aussie arm wrestler personally, I have given my body for breast cancer research, and if anyone knows me even more personally, they know my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer at the start of the year, and we've been through that long journey, the chemotherapy, the radiation. Don't want to get too personal, because this is all a fun show, but let's talk about this tournament. You raised over $2,000. I think this is fantastic, Jamie. Brag about it, mate. Tell everyone about this.
Glad you brought that up, because I just got the chills when you brought it up. Because I'm thinking 2016, I'm like, oh, and I know how important that is to you too. So, yeah. Okay, so long story short, Lisa is one of my wife's best friends. She was the maid of honor in our wedding.
Oh, wow.
She was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she had a double mastectomy, and I'm not removed from it, but I'm watching all this stuff happen, just because we're all family, and you feel kind of helpless on how can you help? What can you do? And I'm one of those guys that wants to help. So I saw a post that somebody did a GoFundMe for her.
Yeah.
And just help pay for bills, like medical expenses that we're racking up. And I saw that they only had like a few $100s in there. I said, dude, I can raise a few thousand if I host an arm wrestling event. Why don't I do this? My buddy owns the brewery. Like, let's make it happen. So I met with him. I said, hey, let's do this. And it was like, it was 4 years ago this month that we hosted that.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, I remember. It popped up on my newsfeed. I'll have to find those pictures. So, I called it.
I'll just quickly interrupt you. It's funny you say that you did it in November, because the same time you were doing a breast cancer fundraiser, this time 4 years ago, I ran 1,500 kilometres in Australia over 30 days. So you're getting the cool memories and things like that. So not only do we pick the same lightsaber, but at the same time, we were both doing breast cancer fundraisers. That's cool, man. That is cool.
That's amazing. What are the odds of that?
That's so cool. Wow. I got to take a break there for a minute. Bang! That's unreal.
Yeah. That's a bang-worthy moment right there, man. I got the chills again.
All right, keep going. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so, I called the newspaper. I called the local TV show that actually ran I think they did maybe it was a 1 or 2 part thing where they had like a whole, kind of like a little special dedicated towards Lisa, which was nice because it got her to tell her story and her experiences. So I made some phone calls to arm wrestlers. So I called John Bergeson Jr., and he said, yeah, I'll put up $2,000 for the pros to arm wrestle. And I said, oh, perfect. So everything that comes in other than that, we'll just give to them. I ended up handing them her husband, like a big old stack of cash that night. Just, here you go. And they were just like, but they're family, you know what I mean? So it just made me feel good. We got a huge novelty check that we handed them just to make it look cool.
Yeah, of course.
But it's amazing, the arm wrestling community, despite the drama that you see, when they really want to get behind something, we had everybody supporting this. I had my buddies, he owns a honey company. He donated like 200 jars that we sold and raised money for that, little honey jars. John donating the money for the pros, because pros need money to show up.
Yeah.
But it was a great turnout, and it was just for a great cause. And she's not one of those spotlight type girls, but she deserved this, and we provided something to help her family. So yeah, it was a big deal.
Absolutely. I'll always take my hat off to anyone that raises money, because you can be the strongest person in the world and you're a business owner, so you know exactly. Once you throw a bit of financial stress in there, that'll break anyone. So take my hat off to you. That is fantastic, mate. I think it's some of these things that the arm wrestling community just need a bit more insight of. You're not one to brag about your charity things and all that, but there's more people like you doing amazing things like that. And I think we just need to highlight it, a bit of spotlight. So when I was doing a bit of research and I saw that, I was like, yeah, so glad he's coming on the show. Would have been good if he came on before Neil's show, but that's okay. I'm happy to play second fiddle to Neil pick up. Let's not cause tension because we just realised we're connected on a level. No.
Neil has nothing but nice things to say about you, though. I can tell you that.
Look, the fact that Neil knows who I am, look, I'm a huge Neil Pickup fan. But yeah, that is unreal. Now, that big, giant banner behind you is something I feel personally that the arm wrestling community not only need to know about, but also need to get behind. Just give us a quick background on Natfit.
All right, Natfit. I spent the better part of my adult years in the gym, whether it was working out as a trainer, managing gyms, selling fitness equipment nationwide, working in a nutritional store, selling other people's stuff, working for people. I thought arm wrestling has never been tapped, at least to my knowledge, by a supplement company, or at least a homegrown thing, right? Because everybody's kind of done their own thing. But what if I started, because I figured, okay, we have the network, and my wife was having our first child, and I was like, all right, well, let's not pay somebody to watch our kid. I'll stay home. I'll start a business. I think we're in the right spot to where we can do this. We've got the network. We'll provide the funding. We'll see if it takes. And it did. Thank God, because I would have been crazy. You talk about going all in on something. You talk about making. I've taken several steps back in my career life over the last several years to kind of try to do something for myself or try to better myself. And it's this thing finally hit. And it's well, damn, I'm almost 40. Thank God, because
are you?
I'll be 40 next month.
Jeez! Wow, I'm about to turn 36 and I look about 10 years older than you. God, if that's not a thing to get Natfit products, I don't know what. Jamie looks 18.
Thank him. Yeah, so, we launched it, and I always tell people I would never start a supplement company unless, one, I was rich before, or two, incredibly famous. Because if you're incredibly famous, you could sell toothpaste and people are going to buy it, right? Yeah, well, we're not those people, and we're not filthy, stinking rich. So, but we had the network, and people don't hate me as much as well, at least I hope not.
No,
but it was going. So I thought, all right, we'll launch it, and we'll see how we do here. And I had a plan in mind to where I can get territories out there distributing it, and then at some point we'll go international because, people are interested. So we made enough waves in the first couple of years that, all right, well, people knew I'm serious. And I always told people, if I could get this thing huge, this could take care of arm wrestling. A homegrown company in the fitness world with supplements and everything that can actually fund arm wrestling, then you don't have to worry about the quote-unquote rich people coming in that you don't really know if they're genuine about the sport, because then they're just going to take off. But think about if because this is all arm wrestling grown. Now, arm wrestlers are probably a small percentage of who we sell to because the fitness community is big and arm wrestling small, but it started with arm wrestling, so I'm never going to forget that. And the guys that are jumping on board in other countries are arm wrestlers. Yes. And they have an immediate network to sell to, plus their fitness network and families. So, yeah, Canada. I was talking to Kane Hemsing from Canada for about 5 or 6 months before he actually jumped on board and took it and ran with it. So he's the president of Natfit Canada, and he's got distributors out there, and they're growing. Tom Holland in the UK, and rumor has it, we're going down under.
Yeah, buddy, you'll see Natfits in kangaroo pouches and you'll see koalas because apparently that's what everyone thinks of Australia. And we'll see snakes in the front yard just having a quick pre-shot of the beautiful natural greens and the fruity greens that Natfit sells. When I first heard about this, the partnership that you are collaborating with Ryan Baaaanng, I believe, I think that's fantastic. The arm wrestling community is growing huge. We had a big 2019 at Arnold's. Devon was over, and especially in our state, where bottom right-hand corner of Australia, it's exploded. It's getting big, and I'm trying to be a part of that. So I think it's fantastic that Natfit is coming to Australia, which is great because shipping prices are ridiculous at the moment, which would be killing your business. But now a lot of us and a lot of people that are your fans down here, because you have quite a lot, Jamie, believe it or not, can now really buy bulk Natfit products. So how long's Natfit been going for now?
Natfit, we're in our 4th year. So I told the wife by year 5, we should be completely set. I'm putting all the pieces in order, getting the right people. You know, and we're getting distributors all over the country too, as well, in the States, which is helping fund everything. And then when you add another country, obviously there's a huge headache as far as logistics and things like that. But currently we're working on like the freight pricing to get all the stuff shipped to Ryan. But in 2021, Natfit will be in Australia. I promise you that.
Can't wait.
For example, like Canada is the hardest place to get into because they have a Health Canada, which is kind of like our FDA, which is very strict on things. So I couldn't have my manufacturer in the States make things and take it up there. We had to find a manufacturer in Canada, and I did my research on a bunch of them. So, you know, I'm on the phone for the first couple months trying to find somebody who could work with me. Found a guy who has a supplement company out there, and they're making everything damn near as close as we need it by their standards. Yeah. You slap Natfit on it and all the logistics, and then bam, they're off and running. Same thing in the UK. I could ship to the UK, but it's going to cost Tom a lot more money, where we can just have a manufacturer make it there to our standards, and we're good to go.
Man,
so we're finding loopholes. But this is going to be huge. I had a guy from Pakistan, arm wrestler, ask me, how do we get it here? I said, you find me the funding and a guy who wants to do this, I will get it to Pakistan and you guys can supply everybody there. Like, the sky's the limit, right?
Yes, it's growing. It's growing. Yes.
Crazy.
Just make sure when you ship to Australia, just throw in a large Natfit Alpha Squad shirt. I think those shirts look amazing. Are you shipping to Australia now?
I can ship this shirt to you.
Yeah, I want to buy one.
My wife makes these specifically for special people.
I want to buy
So
one.
I will send you one. I promise. What size you wear? Large? Medium? It's medium?
Oh, bless your heart. Yeah, no, I'm a fat guy. I'm a large.
Large, perfect. That's what size I wear, large. So.
Alrighty, a bit of fun now, a bit of gameplay.
We'll get you one.
First, before we play the game, I'll play with every guest, guys. Natfit's unbelievable. It's made by an arm wrestler for arm wrestlers. That's why I believe something like Arm Wars was so successful, because Neil was an arm wrestler, knows how to look after it, and this is the same. Get on Natfit. Natfit. I'll have the descriptions in the comments. Now, I love to play a game.
We'll get into distribution on TV and we'll call it Natflix.
Natflix and chill. But you can't chill if you're having a pre-workout. I reckon some of those would just be crazy. Put hairs on your chest there.
Right.
Alrighty, now this game, I'm going to give you the names of 3 pullers, 3 arm wrestlers, and you have to decide which one you're going to pin, which one you're going to lose to, And which one, you got to tell them they're not pulling in 2021. You're gone. You're banned.
Oh, you're brutal. I gotta be mean? Okay, let's do it.
I love this game, but with someone, Paul Lynn was another one. Someone that's so nice, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be the best.
Somebody I got to pin, somebody I got to lose to, and somebody I got to tell fuck off.
Correct.
Yeah. Bugger off. We'll call it that.
Bugger off with, yeah. Oh, you know your Australian slang very well. Okay, here we go. So I'm sticking with the lightweight division. So we've got Sam Harris. I think
Love
you just
Sam.
stole
Love Sam.
Adam Wilmot's kid. I think you're now the angry bird. I just caught the double bird. Okay. Sam Harris, Jeff Hale, Alan Fisher.
Oh, man. Okay.
Because I know how respectful you are, so I know you'd find it very difficult to tell Alan Fisher where to go. I know you're hanging, which you confirmed my intuition of how much you want that Jeff Hale pin back.
I got to pin Jeff.
You're not pinning the hammer holder.
I got to beat Jeff. No, Sam. I messaged Sam the other night. We were chit-chatting back and forth, just congratulating on him in his business and, just keeping that communication line open. But Sam kicked my ass a few years back with UAL. So I owe him, I need to pin Sam. I need to pull Sam. I pinned Sam at the Arnold Classic before he made it to his status now. So I need to pin him, but I can't tell Alan to, okay, damn it. You're good. All right, I got to lose to Alan. I'm going to tell Sam to fuck off, and I got to pin Jeff.
You are telling the lightweight hammer holder your 2021 season is done.
I got to tell him he's done because he's going to pull somebody else before me. So there's a good chance that he's done regardless, right? Before I even get there. And I got a long list of people that way I can win and get to that level. So, and not saying Jeff is beneath him, because I think Jeff, under a different rule setting, could beat Sam. But I got to pin Jeff, just because he beat me.
This is the best. I wasn't sure how this is going to go, and Jamie, you've just made it amazing. So for the record, you're pinning Jeff. Out of respect, you're losing to Alan because you're too nice.
He beats me every time at practice.
Practice pins don't count. And then you are telling the lightweight hammer holder you cannot pull in 2021. Jamie Sheldon, you have a dark side to you. First of all, I thought you were this Luke Skywalker hero, save the day. But when push comes to shove, you are Darth Vader.
I do have that side to me, which very few people get to see. And you probably don't want to.
Oh, no. When people are extraordinary over nice, the reason that they get nasty, then they're in a lot of trouble. I can get that. Right, a couple of more things before we finish up. I've had so much fun. I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions. First thing that comes to your mind, answer straight away. Are you ready?
Yes.
Mate, I could have just ended on the pin one, lose one. That's probably been my favourite so far. Okay, here we go. Do you prefer super matches or tournaments?
Tournaments.
Tournaments. Interesting. Are you a fan of the King's move?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Why did you never pull Arm Wars?
Ooh. It may happen this year, or 2021, in England.
Yeah, I know Neil wants to get that back up, but I was just like, you've had some amazing battles, and I'm like, well,
that's the bucket list thing to do, and I've told Neil, I said, next time you're in the States, or next time you get it going again, I'd love to do that. So, that should happen, but, I would love to pull Arm Wars.
I found it really interesting. Alrighty, do you still piss excellence?
Absolutely, every day, every night, every afternoon, right now.
I saw that quote that you piss excellence, and I was just like, champion.
Nobody's brought that up in like 3 years. You're awesome, dude. I love that.
Who wins in a super match? Luke Skywalker, Han Solo.
Han Solo.
Oh, hands down. Hands down. I didn't realise you'd answer so convincingly, but hands down.
Very underrated movie that Solo movie was. I thought it was really good, and I thought that guy did a great job kind of capturing that young Solo badassery type of thing.
Yeah, some of the new ones have been a bit missed, but yeah, the Solo movie, yeah, I'm with you on that one. That was a good one. For people who don't know, I'm absolutely a nerd. I love Star Wars. I love board games. There's an insight for the Aussie arm wrestler. All right.
What's your favorite board game?
Sorry?
What's your favorite board game?
Oh, where do I start? I love some of my old school board games. I've got Ninja Turtles and Inspector Gadget. We've got this fire rescue game where you got to team together and put out fires. I've got an Olympic Games board game. I've got WWF board games I love to play. Oh mate, my cupboard's full of them. I'm sure underneath our Christmas tree my wife's bought me more. I love them all. Settlers of Catan, I love playing.
I'm staying at your house when I come out to Australia.
Oh mate, you know there's always room here. Are you a board game man?
Oh well, anything like fun like that, stuff that we grew up with in the '80s. I like playing Scrabble.
Yep.
Because my dad taught me how to win with all those like 2 and 3 letter words. Yeah.
2 and 3 letter words.
All the words you never heard of, like that's a word, and you got to look it up, and you think someone's full of shit. No, they're real. Yeah.
Yeah. If you get beat with the word QZ, then you know you're in a bit of trouble. Beautiful. Absolutely. I can't wait to play board games with you. Does anyone actually dislike you?
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that do. There's people that try to troll. But even the trolls, like, who's the king of trolls? Chris Gabi?
No, I don't really watch him. He bores me.
He doesn't hate me. Like, he stopped trolling me. Well, he tried a few times, but he knows he's not going to get a reaction out of me, so he stopped. I asked him about it when I was on their show in Canada, but I'm sure there's people that don't like me. You know.
I don't mind his gimmick. I like that he's staying consistent. I like that he trolls people and calls people out, and I like that he hasn't backed down from it. Not my thing, but more power to him. Who's your most hated type of Natfit customer?
I see what you're doing there. You're very, very tricky. I love them all the customers.
I suppose that was a difficult question.
Yeah, I gotta answer that one politically correct.
It's your business, because I manage a sports and aquatic centre here, and when I was working in the gym, I used to hate, the bigger people would come in and they're like, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to get bulky, but I don't want to do much cardio, and, I only want to come once a week, and my mind would blow. So I was just wondering in the supplements game if there was just a particular type of customer that...
There is. And you know what? The people that and these are not people I hate, but people that I really want to talk to, the organic community. Because they're never fit people, right? They're always like people who don't work out, but they think they need to eat healthy and I'm like going to McDonald's like at least every 2 weeks. And I'm like, look, there's some truth in that, but a lot of it's bullshit. And you're just spending more money on organic stuff. Like, you're not taking better care of your health. So they're just not informed. But they think, it's organic. I mean, I'm going to be healthier. No, you're in terrible shape. Go lift weights and eat crap, and you'll be in better shape than eating organic. Right? You know what I mean? Like, so those people I love to educate, and they still in one ear out the other but at some point, I get them.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, because a lot of people are in their ways like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just people who are just misled that I like to try to, chat with. And it happens daily. Daily.
It seems like you had hair before you started Natfit, and now with all these...
Man, I had no gray hairs until I started this company. Now I'm going to hit 40 next month, and I'm probably just going to age terribly from 40 to 50, and you're going to see it. You're going to be like, what the hell happened to him?
Oh, all right. Two more questions. If you could pull any celebrity, who would it be?
Celebrity, The Rock.
Yeah, he's a quite a popular answer in that one. And the last one, why hasn't Natfit sponsored the Aussie Arm Wrestler podcast?
Okay. Let's get deep into this one because Natfit hasn't sponsored any podcast. There are people who have mentioned that Natfit is a sponsor of their podcast, and I told specific people not to say that yet because we have not officially given any money, and we're not doing that this year until things are a little bit different. But because somebody feels they owe me, I'm not going to name any names. I love the guy. I have his logo tattooed on my chest.
Wow.
ArmTV. I told Gary, I said, hold off on saying stuff like that.
Hang
because
on, I thought you weren't going to mention any names.
Oh, I'm going to mention names. Gary knows I love him.
Yeah.
And he feels because he changed his logo that he's like, I owe Jamie because I'm going to change the logo. And I'm like, no, you're fine. He's like, what if we make you the official sponsor, first sponsor of our podcast with Travis? I'm like, Gary, I'm not giving you any money yet. This thing needs to take off first. But I've had people ask, and at some point I'd like to do something for every arm wrestling related something. It's just, we're in the process of trying to.
You can't save everyone and things like that. So yeah, I wouldn't stress too much. I was just grinding your gears, and I'm glad.
Well, we will. I intend to take care of everybody who's doing something arm wrestling related. So.
That's and I think that just one of the things people just don't understand about you is that you've got this business goal, and when most people start businesses, it's about making money and it's about making as much money and looking after your family, which is obviously your number one goal. But you are so determined to support the arm wrestling community. I think people just really need to understand Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
It's a marathon, and people think it's a sprint. You're not a billionaire in 4 years of starting a supplement company. You're spending, people don't understand. And I'll be honest with you, man, people hit me up daily for money.
Wow.
This poor guy's I don't want to put him on blast. I'm not going to say any names, but I got a message from a guy today on Facebook, and he's having a rough time, and he was asking me for money. And I'm thinking, where did it get out that I'm Natty Warbucks that has money to give people to help? I know it's a rough time for people. I get it. I hear people. I have friends that have family members dying and all sorts of stuff. Look, I can't. Come on, I'm not that guy. I can't. Here, it's not going to solve anybody's problems.
Natfit does sound like an ATM,
all the time.
That'd be a pretty cool name for a bank, though. Natfit. I could see it happening. Yeah, because people see you on ESPN, you're a professional arm wrestler, and you got your own company. I guess if you don't ask, you'll never know. But yeah, I'm a bit reluctant to ask for money. Right, I need you to do 2 more things before we finish up because I've had an absolute blast. Yeah. I need you to nominate someone to come on the show who you think you would have a bit of fun.
Okay, I thought of 2 people.
Mention them both.
What's that?
Mention them both. Say them both.
Oh, yeah. 2 people that are close to me geographically and close to me as far as arm wrestling. Dallas Langston.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
he's got a great story.
Ah.
Way more cool than mine as far as success and just.
He seems like a good dude as well. I've briefly spoke to Dallas. We had a bit of a chat after the BLM match, and he just seems like a good dude, and the way he handled that that match and everything. Yeah, that's a good nomination. Dallas is a cool dude.
Great guy. Love the guy. Him and then Derek Smith is always a good choice.
He seems like a character. I haven't been in contact with Derek, but he just seems like a fun character.
He's got a great story too. You know, he was a video game world champion, which makes a lot more money than arm wrestling.
What?
And I'll let him tell you the logistics behind that. But yeah, the first person he ever met in arm wrestling was Ethan Fritchie. Ethan Fritchie slammed him because they're both video game players. And then Derek looked up arm wrestling, and I took him to his first practice, which he was just so awkward. And now he's he's got the biggest training group in the country. There's like 40 people that show up on the regular.
That's cool.
20 minutes from my house. So this guy took arm wrestling, and he loves it. And I don't know anybody other than like Devin that loves arm wrestling more than Derek Smith.
Wow.
So both those guys live right next to me, and yeah, I would say great stories for you to have fun with.
Oh, mate, I'll have fun with anything. Don't worry about that. And then the last one, you've seen the matches, you've heard the catchphrase. I need your best impersonation. Ready, bang!
Ready, bang!
Yes!
Oh,
there it is. Look at that. They are looking huge. Guys, I'll wrap it up there because Jamie's a very busy man. Jamie, I am so appreciative that you've taken some time out to come on the show. Thank you so much. Guys, I'll put some links all about Natfit. Help the guy out, buy some of his products. From people that are buying it, I've heard nothing but good things. As you can see, not only is he a good dude, but he's a fun dude as well. And you'll always know, Jamie, hopefully the travel bans end. There is always a place for you and your family here at the Aussie Arm Wrestlers compound. Always happy to have you. I cannot thank you enough for taking a chance and coming on the show.
Oh, this was a no-brainer, man. I love what you do, and a lot of respect for you. And I'm glad I know you a little bit better now, because now you're family. This is fun.
Mate,
so yes, I will come to your house. I'll buy the beer. I'll buy the beer.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks, guys. Check it all out. Go support Jamie.